Fantastic Four First Steps just released in theaters and stars Pedro Pascal, Vanessa Kirby, and Joseph Quinn, and follows after being forced to balance their roles as heroes with the strength of their family bond. The Fantastic Four must defend Earth from a ravenous space god called Galactus and his herald, Silver Surfer. Now, just like the Guardians of the Galaxy, the Fantastic Four are a group of characters that I absolutely love, but when it comes to bringing these characters to life in live-action form, I thought we honestly got miss after miss after miss after.
Gotta say, it's fantastic.
Now, I do think those two films in the early 2000s are tongue-in-cheek. I think they're a lot of fun, and I find a lot of nostalgia and enjoyment out of those, despite them not being very good. But when it comes to the 2015 Fan 4 Stick, that movie's pretty shit, I'm not gonna lie. It was a film that tried to bring these characters in and just build its own universe, begging for sequel after sequel, building an entire universe instead of focusing on the one movie. Now, when it comes to the MCU films, I felt like we've had a rough patch over the last couple of years. There's a few home runs: Deadpool and Wolverine, Spider-Man No Way Home, Guardians of the Galaxy 3. But there's been a lot of inconsistencies. I even made previous YouTube videos about it, about how the MCU films basically lost their flair, and they all look the same. The color palettes, they look terrible. But I don't really mind what the MCU is trying to do, because they gave me literally one of my favorite films of all time, Spider-Man No Way Home, a movie I want to talk about someday, and honestly, that video is going to be pretty long, I'm not going to lie. But you could tell that they're trying to figure out a way to bring this universe, like bring some light back into this universe. And I noticed that when this trailer dropped for the Fantastic Four First Steps, that just off of first glance, I thought there was hope. And after seeing the movie finally, it does feel like a breath of fresh air. It has this unique aesthetic that looks like it's just made from the 60s with like the Jetsons kind of look. Now, just like those other films that I listed, this is probably up there as one of the better MCU films in recent years. It felt like a modern version of The Rise of the Silver Surfer, but it was a more definitive film and felt more grounded. And honestly, I felt like this film actually pulled it off with these characters. The Jack Kirby 1960 comic literally came to life in this. So they've already been the Fantastic Four for a couple of years, but the film does a really good job at explaining their backstory and how they got their powers, being told in the form of the Ted Gilbert Show. And speaking of those 1960s Jack Kirby comics, the costumes here look pretty immaculate to those pages. It's like they were ripped straight from the comic. And I absolutely loved it, as well as their powers and abilities being displayed on screen. Even the casting. I thought we were never going to escape Pedro Pascal. He's been coming out in everything lately. I saw him on like 3 movie posters last week. But he is great here as Reed Richards. And his dynamic between Sue Storm, who's played by Vanessa Kirby, also very emotionally investing. Johnny Storm, he's an ass, but an ass that you care about. And he's always putting himself first, ready to make the sacrifice for the family. The thing I felt was like a little bit underutilized. Now we have to talk about Ralph Ineson as Galactus, because this guy's voice is very dark and heavy and grungy, and it worked so well for this character. And honestly, he stole the show, because this dude was freaking terrifying. And I can imagine a character like this being hard to bring to live action, which is probably why they made him a Storm in the last previous films. Now, I liked The Rise of the Silver Surfer. I thought that version of that character was incredible. But also here, with Julia Garner as that role, she does a really good job as well. Now, something I both appreciated and was kind of let down by was that there really isn't no action in the film until the last 30 minutes. I think the first hour and a half only has like a chase sequence that happens early on in the film. which is actually a really standout scene with Silver Surfer, which was one of my favorite scenes of the entire movie. But what I appreciated about it was that the emotion of the story doesn't come through its like CGI, big scale fights that a lot of the MCU films have, but rather the interplay between the family dynamic between all of these characters, which I found heavily effective. Now, this next part I'm about to talk about is going to contain a little bit of spoilers, so if y'all are sensitive to spoilers and don't want to hear anything, just click off and come back if you want. Now, just like most MCU films, they have post and mid-credit scenes. The one in Fantastic Four, First Steps, I thought was absolutely stupid. And let me tell you why. You have the next big bad, okay? You want him to be revealed in the most epic and badass way imaginable. The way they do it here was laughably bad. We see the back of him, facing away from the camera, holding his mask that's facing towards the camera. What a shitty way to reveal your next big bad character. The villain of the next... it's obviously the setup for the sequels, whatever it's Secret Wars or whatever, but I just thought the way they executed that was a big miss. But other than that, I really enjoyed Fantastic Four First Steps. I thought this was a good Fantastic Four film, and I'm so excited as a fan that we actually got a good movie. Like an actual good movie, not a so bad it's good. But that's all I have to say about Fantastic Four First Steps, guys. If there's any other movies y'all want me to talk about, leave it down in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I'm Matt, and I'll see you guys in the next video.